The chasen matcha whisk is the best tool when it comes to whisking up a bowl of matcha tea, giving the matcha a lighter and creamier consistency and a smoother taste. There are some tricks when it comes to how to care for and how to clean your matcha whisk, and we're going to cover those today. We'll talk about what the bamboo whisk is, what makes it different from other types of whisks, and how you should use and maintain the whisk. Let's get started. So what is the chasen? The chasen or matcha whisk is carved out of a single piece of bamboo, and it's designed to be the ultimate tool when it comes to whisking up beautiful bowls of matcha tea. The 100 individually carved bristles move through the water and bring air into the tea. This air is then held by the matcha in the form of bubbles or foam. This foam is very important when it comes to the overall drinking experience of the matcha, and it also serves as a quality indicator. High quality matcha like the Matcha Whisk, for example, will produce this rich, creamy foam, and it will create a super smooth bowl of matcha with no bitterness. When compared to a typical metal whisk, the matcha bamboo whisk has a few key advantages. First, it is completely silent, which may not seem like a big deal, but the purpose of whisking up a bowl of matcha is to enjoy a nice calming moment, and the sound of metal scraping against a bowl can really get in the way of that. The matcha whisk also just simply outperforms the metal whisk, producing more foam for less effort. If you're really looking for the best matcha whisk, you have to go for the bamboo. It is funny to think that the best tool for making matcha is not some fancy new invention, but rather a tool that has been used in Japan for hundreds of years. The matcha bamboo whisk was carved the same way it is now, as far back as 600 years ago, during the Muromachi period. Originally, the tea ceremony was for elite societies in Japan, and it was inaccessible to most of the commoners. A man known as Murato Juko wanted to change that, and eventually laid forth the principles of wabi-cha, or the simple tea ceremony. As part of this so-called tea ceremony for the people, he commissioned the design of matcha whisk that could be used by people all over Japan. The result was the Japanese tea whisk we know today. Now that we've covered what the bamboo tea whisk is, let's talk about how to use it. We'll go through a step-by-step guide explaining how to use the matcha whisk, and then we'll talk about how to clean it. Step 1. Before you use the matcha whisk, make sure to soak it in a glass of warm water for about 1 minute. Step 2. Once the matcha powder and water have been mixed, take out your whisk and begin to scrape off the sides of the tea bowl to make sure everything is combined. Step 3. Now, using mostly your wrist, begin to move the matcha whisk in a zigzag motion until a light foam appears on top. Step 4. If you notice larger bubbles on the surface of the matcha tea, you can use the whisk to pop these. What you really want is these smaller bubbles, which will create an airier consistency in the tea. Step 5. Rinse all the matcha off of the whisk so you can put it away clean. When it comes to whisking matcha, you will want to use rapid, zigzag motions using your wrist. It may help to start with a larger bowl at first and use your whole arm, but eventually you should be able to create a foam in a smaller space just using your wrist. It takes a lot of practice, but it's well worth it once you master the technique. To clean your matcha whisk, there are 2 different tips you should know. The first tip is you should make sure to quickly rinse your matcha whisk before and after use. The before rinsing is accomplished just by soaking the whisk, so this is not something you generally need to worry about. After you use your matcha whisk, you should make sure to rinse it off in water or run it under the sink. You don't want to put your matcha whisk away dirty, so make sure all the matcha has been rinsed off of it. The bamboo bristles are spaced out, so it should dry easily wherever you put it. Just make sure to stand it upside down and not on its side. Occasionally, if you notice some staining start to accumulate, you can rinse your bamboo whisk with a toothbrush to get in between the bristles. This really is the best tool because you want to be delicate when it comes to these thin bristles, but you also want to make sure to get into the hard to reach places. If you follow all these tips, you should be able to not only make delicious bowls of matcha tea at home, but you should also be able to keep your matcha whisk looking good for a long time. I hope you've all found this video helpful. If you'd like to support us, we would really love it if you could sign up for the monthly Matcha Club. With this service, you'll get a free bamboo whisk and a bamboo spoon when you sign up, and we'll send you 2 packs of premium, organically grown matcha every month at a 20% discount. Another way to support this channel is by liking this video and subscribing to see more videos like it in the future. If you have any questions about matcha or green tea in general, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Until then, we'll see you next time.